Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I want to talk to you tonight about a mystery that puzzles so many seekers of truth. Why do your affirmations fail, and how can you fix them? You speak the words, you declare the good you desire, yet it seems the heavens remain silent. You say, I am prosperous, yet the purse feels empty. You say, I am healthy, yet the body still aches. Why is this so? Because an affirmation is not mere words. It is a vibration, a law in action. And if the words of your lips are in conflict with the beliefs of your heart, the law cannot work for you. Tonight, I want to lift the veil and show you how to align your spoken word with the hidden beliefs of your soul, so that every affirmation you utter becomes a living seed planted in fertile ground, destined to bear fruit in your life. When you speak an affirmation, you are not merely uttering words, you are setting in motion a vibration, a command, a decree that goes forth into the unseen. But if the decree of the lips is not in harmony with the decree of the heart, it cannot take root. The subconscious mind is like fertile soil. It does not question whether the seed is wheat or thistle. It simply grows what is planted. If you affirm, I am wealthy, but in the depths of your being, you believe that money is scarce, hard to earn, or that wealth is not meant for you, then the subconscious will grow the seed of lack instead of abundance. The words of your lips may be correct, but the soil has already been poisoned by doubt, fear, and long-held beliefs. Every affirmation carries with it a vibration, and vibration cannot lie. You may say, I am loved, I am loved, I am loved. But if you secretly feel unworthy, if the inner voice whispers, I am alone, no one cares for me, then the subconscious mind takes the stronger impression. The subconscious does not obey repetition alone, it obeys feeling. Words without belief are like planting seeds upon a rock. They scatter, they may seem momentarily hopeful, but they cannot take root and grow. That is why so many people say, I affirmed, I repeated. I spoke the words, but nothing changed. They do not realize that their lips spoke one thing while their heart shouted another. The law of the spoken word is precise. When belief and word are united, the result is swift and sure. When they are divided, confusion appears. Just as a house divided against itself cannot stand, an affirmation divided against its own belief cannot manifest. This is why self-examination is necessary. Before you affirm wealth, you must uncover what you truly believe about wealth. Do you secretly believe that money is evil, that abundance is selfish, that prosperity belongs to others but not to you? If so, those beliefs will override your affirmations. Before you affirm love, you must examine what you believe about yourself. Do you secretly believe you are unworthy, flawed, or destined to be rejected? If so, those hidden convictions will drown out the words you speak. Affirmations are not magic formulas. They are declarations of truth, but truth must be accepted within before it can show without. If you stand before a mirror and declare, I am strong, I am powerful, I am victorious, but deep within you feel weak, defeated, and powerless, then your subconscious will accept the inner picture, not the outer declaration. The work, then, is not only to speak the words, but to cleanse the heart of false beliefs. The spoken word is the seed, but the belief of the heart is the soil. Together, they produce the harvest. This is why some people can speak a single affirmation once, and it comes to pass, while others speak the same affirmation for months and see nothing. The difference lies in the agreement of the heart. When you speak from a place of true belief, even one word carries power. The subconscious mind accepts it instantly because there is no conflict, no resistance. But when you speak from a place of doubt, fear, or disbelief, then the words are powerless, like arrows without a bow. You must therefore learn to align the inner and outer. This is done through awareness, through replacing old patterns of thought with new ones, through persistence and through faith. You cannot affirm a truth with your lips while holding a lie in your heart and expect results. The subconscious hears the loudest voice, and the loudest voice is always the one charged with emotion. That is why fear manifests so quickly, because it is spoken and felt with such intensity. And that is why affirmations spoken with genuine faith, conviction, and joy manifest with equal speed, for they are infused with the power of feeling. When you align your spoken word with your subconscious belief, your affirmation becomes a decree that cannot fail. It is like planting a seed in rich, fertile soil, watering it daily with faith, and watching it grow into the very form of your desire. The key is harmony between word and belief, between lips and heart, between the conscious declaration and the subconscious acceptance. Until this harmony is achieved, affirmations will seem to falter. But once it is achieved, the law moves swiftly and surely to bring forth the manifestation. Fear and doubt are the twin thieves that rob affirmations of their power. You may speak the most beautiful words. You may repeat them daily. You may even shout them from the rooftops. But if beneath those words lies the vibration of fear, the soil cannot produce a harvest. Fear is faith in reverse. It is faith in evil rather than good, faith in loss rather than gain, faith in sickness rather than health. When you affirm abundance while secretly fearing poverty, the fear outweighs the words. The subconscious responds to the strongest impression, and fear has a way of imprinting itself deeply because it is charged with powerful emotion. Doubt, too, works silently, eroding the very foundation of the affirmation. Doubt whispers, "What if it doesn't work? What if I am deceiving myself? What if I never see results?" And the subconscious, ever obedient, takes those whispers as instructions. Affirmations are like seeds, but fear and doubt are like weeds. No matter how many good seeds you plant, if weeds are allowed to grow unchecked, they will choke the life from the seedling before it ever has a chance to bloom. This is why so many people grow discouraged. They say, "I have affirmed for weeks, yet nothing has changed." They do not realize that while they are planting the seeds of faith in the morning, they are watering the weeds of fear at night. Every worried thought, every anxious imagining, every fearful expectation is an unspoken affirmation of the very opposite of what you desire. The law does not distinguish between conscious and unconscious affirmations. It simply produces according to what is most deeply felt. Faith is the builder, the great architect that shapes substance into form. Fear tears down what faith builds, like a wrecking ball destroying a temple under construction. Faith is a steady current of power that brings the unseen into visibility, while doubt cuts the wires, leaving the channel broken. This is why it is said, "According to your faith be it unto you." It is not according to your words alone, but according to the faith or the fear that supports those words. If your words declare health, but your feelings tremble at every symptom, then the affirmation of health is drowned out by the fear of sickness. If your words declare prosperity, but your mind rehearses unpaid bills and lack, then the affirmation of prosperity is silenced by the fear of poverty. The practice, then, is not only to speak affirmations, but to uproot fear and replace doubt with trust. Fear thrives in imagination, so turn the imagination toward faith. Instead of picturing failure, picture success. Instead of dwelling on what might go wrong, dwell on what is already going right. Instead of magnifying the problem, magnify the promise. The subconscious does not know the difference between what is real and what is vividly imagined. If you imagine the worst, you affirm the worst. If you imagine the best, you affirm the best. In this way, you become the master gardener of your inner world, pulling out weeds before they choke your harvest and nurturing the seeds of truth with attention and care. Doubt often masquerades as wisdom. It says, "Be realistic, do not expect too much, be careful not to hope." But this is not wisdom, it is fear clothed in caution. True wisdom is to trust the law, to know that what you sow, you reap, that the word never returns void, that faith is substance, the very essence of the thing hoped for. To allow doubt to guide you is to build upon sand, but to allow faith to guide you is to build upon rock. When doubt arises, you must meet it with the spoken word of truth. When fear rises, you must meet it with faith in action. Speak your affirmation not once but again, with conviction, until it drowns out the voice of fear. It is not the absence of challenges that makes affirmations succeed, but the persistence of faith in the face of them. The winds may blow, the storm may rise, but the soul that clings to faith remains unmoved. Fear shouts, "It is impossible," but faith declares, "With God all things are possible." Doubt asks, "How can this be?" But faith answers, "It is already done in the unseen." When the heart chooses faith over fear, when the mind chooses trust over doubt, then affirmations gain their true power, for they are no longer empty words, but living decrees backed by conviction, charged with expectancy, and upheld by the law of the Spirit. An affirmation spoken with feeling and conviction carries a power that mere words alone cannot contain. Words are carriers of vibration, and the vibration becomes strong when it is infused with emotion. You may repeat an affirmation 100 times in a flat, mechanical tone and see little change, but speak it once with deep feeling, with the fire of conviction in your soul, and it sends a ripple through the unseen that cannot be stopped. The subconscious mind is not moved by repetition without energy. It is moved by the intensity of the feeling behind the words. That is why fear manifests so quickly, because fear is felt with such raw emotion. And that is why faith, spoken with passion, brings forth blessings with equal swiftness. The universe responds not simply to the language of the lips, but to the language of the heart. When you affirm with conviction, you impress upon the subconscious mind a living picture. It is no longer just sound, it becomes substance. If you declare, "I am prosperous," with a weak and doubtful tone, the subconscious receives little impression. But if you declare, "I am prosperous, I am overflowing with supply," with the joy of expectancy, as though it were already true, the subconscious accepts it as reality. It does not distinguish between what is present and what is imagined vividly. It only receives the strongest impression given to it. Conviction paints the picture vividly, and feeling colors it with life. This is why the spoken word has been called a sword. It cuts through doubt and inertia when it is sharp with conviction. But a dull sword, words without energy, cannot cut through resistance. The one who learns to speak affirmations with authority discovers that their words are commands, not wishes. The voice charged with faith speaks as though the thing desired is already accomplished. It is not pleading, it is not begging, it is declaring. The tone, the energy, the conviction declare to the subconscious mind, "This is the truth, and nothing else can be." When the subconscious hears such a declaration, it begins to reorganize circumstances, opportunities, and even physical conditions to align with the spoken truth. Feeling is the secret ingredient that transforms an affirmation into a decree. Think of the difference between reciting lines and living them. A child might recite, "The sun is shining," as a memorized phrase, but when you step outside and feel the warmth of the sun upon your skin, the words come alive. In the same way, you must feel the truth of your affirmation, as though you are already living in its reality. If you are affirming health, feel the vitality coursing through your body as you speak. If you are affirming love, feel the joy and warmth of companionship in your heart as though it were present now. If you are affirming abundance, feel the freedom and security of wealth already surrounding you. Feeling anchors the affirmation in the subconscious, making it impossible to deny. Conviction does not always come immediately. It is cultivated. At first, you may feel mechanical, but as you persist, as you speak with intention, as you visualize and imagine, conviction grows. The more you act as though the affirmation were already true, the more the subconscious accepts it as fact. Eventually, the feeling rises naturally, and when it does, the affirmation ignites with power. This is why affirmations spoken in moments of deep emotion are so potent. A declaration made in gratitude, in joy, in determination, or even in desperation can carry more weight than 1,000 casual repetitions. Emotion is energy, and energy charges the word with creative force. There is also a spiritual law at work here. The spoken word is not only heard by your subconscious, but also by the universal mind, the divine intelligence that governs all. When you speak with conviction, you are not merely convincing yourself. You are aligning with the great creative power of the universe. The vibration you send out attracts its like. A word spoken in fear attracts fearful conditions, but a word spoken in faith and joy attracts harmonious conditions. This is why every great teacher has emphasized not only the words spoken, but the spirit in which they are spoken. It is not enough to say, "Peace, peace," while holding turmoil within. You must feel peace. You must embody peace. You must speak it as one who already possesses it. Conviction transforms words into law. It is the difference between saying, "I hope this happens," and declaring, "This is mine now." Hope looks to the future. Conviction claims the present. When you speak your affirmation with conviction, you collapse the distance between desire and fulfillment, declaring that what you seek already exists and is already yours. This conviction impresses itself upon the subconscious, and the subconscious, in turn, impresses it upon the outer world. It is a chain of cause and effect set in motion by the power of a single declaration, charged with feeling, spoken with faith, and sealed with expectancy. You cannot affirm abundance while secretly holding thoughts of lack, for the two are opposites and cannot dwell together. To say, "I am rich, I am prosperous," while within you there is a voice murmuring, "I never have enough, life is hard, money is scarce," is to send out a divided signal. The law of mind cannot bring forth a harvest from mixed seed. Just as no farmer would plant wheat and then scatter weeds over the same soil, expecting only wheat to grow. You cannot plant affirmations of wealth while nurturing inner thoughts of poverty and expect abundance to appear. The subconscious does not obey the surface word alone. It obeys the dominant belief, the one most often repeated, the one felt with the strongest emotion. If your strongest feeling is fear of not having enough, that is the seed that grows. No matter how many times you speak words of prosperity, every thought is an affirmation, whether spoken aloud or whispered silently in the mind. When you sit in worry, rehearsing unpaid bills, imagining debts, or comparing yourself with others, you are affirming lack. When you look at life through the eyes of scarcity, you declare silently, "There is not enough for me." These silent affirmations can undo the spoken word if they are not corrected. That is why people say, "I have tried affirmations, but they do not work." It is not that affirmations fail, it is that contradictory thoughts cancel their effect. A divided mind cannot bring forth a united result. To affirm abundance successfully, you must uproot the weeds of lack and replace them with thoughts that support your words. The law is precise. Whatever image you hold most firmly, whatever belief you allow to take root, becomes the mold into which substance flows. If you affirm abundance but dwell upon limitation, the mold you provide is one of limitation, and the substance of life fills that mold faithfully. The universe does not choose for you, it simply reflects the picture you give it. This is why it is said, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." The heart in this sense is not the lips but the inner belief, the deep conviction, the hidden thoughts that shape reality. To change the outer, you must first change the inner. True abundance is a state of mind long before it becomes a state of affairs. You must begin to think abundance, to feel abundance, to look upon life through the lens of plenty. When you give thanks for what you have, no matter how small, you align yourself with abundance. Gratitude lifts the soul out of lack, for it focuses on the fullness already present. To affirm abundance without gratitude is to speak empty words, for the heart still sees only emptiness. Gratitude fills the heart with the vibration of supply, and the affirmation then flows in harmony with that vibration. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot affirm wealth while fearing poverty, affirm success while expecting failure, affirm love while anticipating rejection. The subconscious will always choose the stronger master, and the stronger master is the one that is felt most deeply. If you truly wish to affirm abundance, you must give no room to thoughts of lack. This does not mean you deny what your eyes see. It means you refuse to give it power. You may acknowledge a temporary condition, but you do not dwell upon it, magnify it, or make it your truth. You turn instead to the higher reality, the abundance of spirit, the infinite supply that cannot be exhausted. Every time you choose to replace a thought of lack with a thought of abundance, you train the subconscious to accept the new truth. At first, the old thoughts may rise up often, for they are habits formed over years, but persistence in affirming abundance eventually dissolves them. The subconscious is like clay. It can be reshaped by steady pressure. Each affirmation of wealth, when believed and felt, presses upon the clay, forming a new mold. Over time, the old mold of lack breaks away, and the new mold of abundance takes its place. Then, and only then, do the spoken words begin to manifest swiftly, for they are supported by the belief of the heart. To live in abundance is to think abundantly. It is to walk through life expecting good, trusting that supply comes in unexpected ways, knowing that the channels may change but the source is eternal. It is to release jealousy, envy, and comparison, for those are children of lack. It is to rejoice in the prosperity of others, for their blessing is proof that the law works and that yours is on its way. It is to give freely, not from fear of losing, but from faith in the endless circulation of good. The act of giving affirms abundance more powerfully than words, for it declares, "I have enough to share." In this way, your outer actions align with your inner words, and the subconscious receives a united message: abundance is mine now. Affirmations succeed only when you release the outcome and trust the divine timing, for to cling anxiously to results is to affirm doubt instead of faith. Many people speak their affirmations with sincerity, but then immediately begin to watch the clock, wondering when their good will appear, worrying whether the words will work, measuring their progress by outer signs. This restless impatience is itself an affirmation of disbelief. It is as if a farmer were to plant seeds in the ground and then dig them up each day to see whether they have sprouted. The seed cannot grow under such disturbance, and neither can an affirmation bear fruit when constantly pulled up by worry and impatience. The law of mind requires rest, trust, and expectancy. Once you have planted the word, you must release it into the soil of the subconscious and trust that the harvest will come in its appointed season. To release the outcome is to step into faith. Faith does not question how or when. It knows that the thing is already accomplished in the unseen. The unseen is always the womb of creation. Just as a child grows in secret before it appears in the visible world, so does your affirmation grow in the invisible before it takes form. If you constantly demand to see signs before the work is complete, you interfere with the process. The greater your trust, the more swiftly and harmoniously the manifestation comes forth. Doubt delays, faith accelerates. Trust in divine timing means accepting that the universe knows the perfect hour for every blessing. What you desire is not denied, it is prepared. Sometimes a door must close before a better one opens. Sometimes a delay prevents disaster. Sometimes the blessing is being multiplied while you wait. To insist on your own timing is to limit the infinite wisdom that sees beyond your sight. When you affirm and release, you say in effect, I trust the divine order of my life. I know that everything comes at the right time, in the right way, and nothing can prevent it. This release lifts the burden from your shoulders, for you no longer carry the weight of when or how. You simply stand in the certainty that your word has gone forth and cannot return void. The need to control is born of fear. Fear says, if I do not watch over this affirmation, it will slip away. Faith says, my word is law, and the law is sure. When you cling tightly to the result, you proclaim that you do not trust the power you have invoked. But when you let go, you demonstrate that you believe your word is already established. To let go is not to forget the affirmation, but to rest in it, to carry yourself as one who already possesses the good you declared. A person who has planted seeds does not walk about worrying. He prepares the harvest baskets, confident that the season will arrive. This posture of trust is itself a magnet. When you release and trust, you align yourself with the flow of life, and in that flow opportunities appear naturally, resources come easily, doors open effortlessly. But when you strain, when you grasp, when you insist on immediate results, you create resistance. Resistance pushes away the very thing you desire. The law of attraction responds not to desperation, but to confidence. Desperation affirms lack. Confidence affirms fulfillment. The act of release is therefore the highest form of faith, for it declares, I do not need to force this. It is already done. Consider the great truth that everything in life moves in seasons. There is a time to sow, a time to wait, and a time to reap. Affirmations are the sowing, faith is the waiting, and manifestation is the reaping. If you attempt to skip the season of waiting, you disrupt the balance of the law. The waiting is not idle. It is a period of preparation, of aligning your thoughts, your actions, and your environment with the blessing that is coming. The universe never withholds, it only arranges. What appears as delay is often the orchestration of countless details that must align for your good to arrive in its fullest form. Release also means detachment from the form the blessing may take. You may affirm prosperity and expect it to come through one particular channel, but if you insist upon that channel, you may miss the greater supply arriving from another. Trusting divine timing includes trusting divine methods. Your role is to declare the truth, to align your heart with it, and then to step aside so that spirit may work in ways beyond your imagining. The mind that releases opens itself to miracles, for it no longer confines the blessing to one path, but allows it to come from the infinite. In the quiet of trust, affirmations take root. In the soil of surrender, they grow unseen until the moment of fruition. The more deeply you rest in the certainty of divine order, the more quickly you will see the outer reflection of your inner word. The law never fails. It only waits for the moment when conditions are perfect. When you release the outcome and trust, you are in harmony with that law, and harmony always produces manifestation. The spoken word is a sword, sharp and powerful, able to cut through every obstacle when it is used with precision. Words are not idle sounds drifting into the air. They are forces, creative tools, carriers of vibration that set the unseen into motion. When you speak carelessly, you wield a dull and dangerous weapon, one that can wound instead of heal, one that can entangle you in the very conditions you wish to escape. But when you speak with intention, with clarity, with authority, your words become like a finely honed blade, cutting away fear, doubt, and resistance, carving out a path through which your good can flow. Every time you declare an affirmation, you are swinging the sword of spirit, and the precision of your words determines whether you open the way or close it. The sword of the word is two-edged. It can build or destroy, bless or curse, heal or harm. Many people use their words unconsciously, affirming lack without realizing it, affirming sickness by constantly speaking of symptoms, affirming failure by declaring that nothing ever works out. These words are swords turned against themselves, cutting down the very harvest they seek to grow. The law is impartial. It does not judge your words but fulfills them. To speak negatively with conviction is to wield the sword in the wrong direction. That is why great care must be taken, for the tongue has the power of life and death, and with every affirmation, with every casual remark, you are shaping your destiny. Precision in speech means aligning your words exactly with the truth you wish to manifest. A careless phrase like "I can't afford this" or "I always get sick" may seem harmless, but it is an affirmation nonetheless, a sword swung recklessly. The subconscious accepts it and begins to produce according to the decree. When you choose instead to say, "I always have enough," "I am strong and well," "Things are working out for me," you cut away the false and establish the true. The words you speak most often become the grooves into which your life flows. They create a track, a channel, through which energy moves, shaping circumstances in their image. The sword must therefore be sharpened daily with affirmations of truth, wielded carefully and intentionally, never tossed about in jest or despair. To use the word as a sword also means to speak with authority. A sword wielded timidly cannot cut through resistance, but one swung with confidence slices through with ease. When you affirm weakly, doubting whether your words carry power, you blunt the edge of the sword. But when you affirm boldly, declaring with certainty that what you say is law, the subconscious mind accepts the command without resistance. Authority in speech is not loudness but conviction. Even a whisper spoken in faith is more powerful than a shout spoken in fear. The sword does not depend on the volume of the voice, but on the certainty behind it. The spoken word also has the power to cut away illusions. When fear presents itself, when appearances seem overwhelming, the word of truth slices through the false picture. To declare "I am safe, I am protected, I am divinely guided," in the midst of turmoil is to wield the sword against fear. To declare "I am strong, I am whole, I am victorious," in the midst of weakness is to cut away the illusion of defeat. Each word spoken in truth shatters the chains of appearances and reveals the underlying reality of spirit. The sword of the word is therefore not only creative but liberating. It frees the mind from bondage to what the eyes see and aligns it with what the soul knows. Discipline is required to keep the sword sharp. Just as a warrior trains daily, practicing his movements until they are precise and effortless, so must you train your tongue to speak only words that build, heal, and bless. It is easy to slip into idle speech, to repeat phrases of lack or despair out of habit, but each careless word dulls the blade. Affirmations are the practice ground, the sharpening stone, where you learn to direct the sword with accuracy. With practice, your words become steady and unwavering, no longer swayed by outer appearances, no longer wasted on what you do not want. The sword of the spoken word is your inheritance, a gift placed in your hand to shape your destiny. No obstacle can stand before a word spoken in faith. No mountain can resist a decree spoken with conviction. Each affirmation is a strike, cutting through layers of resistance, doubt, and old belief, until the path is clear and the manifestation stands revealed. To use the word as a sword is to remember the power you hold, to take up that power consciously, and to speak as one whose words are law.